You are listening to the Pinax Report.
Pinax Report. Pinax Report.
The Pinax Report.
Pinax Report.
Pinax Report.
Live only on Pinax TV.
Abusianse mebre koso ewo Ghana hanum say sabria mene wo kase akoye say we disagree to agree bisa no ni nyina no efa ensembia the former vice president of the land Dimitri Dr. Alhaj Muhammadu Bawumia edi akwakoto monten so efa Cedi no ho now nanse ye hu say dollar amafo kana dollar na ba feme na Cedi ne kosoro ne ade all because say no $1 to a Cedi no etimi aba former magana for kre binum omo wanwa se dollar no etimi aba bedrusa dollar to Cedi no ebetimi aba bedrusa because a lot are wondering say so all these things ewo honum na MPP for ntimi anye amane NDC for na eje wo samba ewo ho now the more reason why Bawumia ediaba for it and same way mun said them kan no a statement bi awako make against the National Democratic Congress. Now Christus here he has a little brief about this whole issue. Yeah, we have a video of Ebrana Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia edisan same way to just so Chris like in a few words tell us the Bawumia ko kan edisan same way nyina aba
former president Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He's been talking, and just as we know him to be, he's talking about the economy and the governance in terms of finance and then economy. We all know, say yes, the Cedi is appreciated as against the dollar. It's Wababontain to talk about the fact that NDC for Ntiminji say Oma Hodin and now Metimiama Cedi no aba form. So I think he's been going about talking about so many factors. Ebetimi ama Cedi no aba form. Enche say ebema Cedi na kosra enche say NDC for Nsano.
Okay. And so Ebusian for that means what Bawumia is saying say the Cedi no etimi akosro ma dollar na aba fema yede ehu aba so body ema the National Democratic Congress now. And yes, I net na dear ni yunkutin sema wade etumontin so.
Recently, I think one of the things that if you ask a simple question to the NDC to point out exactly what policy they have implemented that has resulted in the appreciation of the Cedi, they cannot tell you one that has been implemented, not sort of talked about, but actually implemented. They cannot tell you one such policy. They only passed their budget in March. They've not even issued any contracts and paid for anything, pretty much. So you cannot ascribe what is happening to the currency to a policy that they have implemented. There's no such policy that has been implemented that has had that impact yet. For me, we had anticipated the impact of gold in this economy. I talked about it when we got into dire straits in 2022. Bank of Ghana had bought $5 billion worth of gold. After all the noise of the election, people are paying attention to our reserves. That is one thing, which we have built to 30 tons. Secondly, you've mentioned that the US dollar itself is on the decline globally. And that has also strengthened. If you go to Zambia, for example, the kwacha has gained a lot of ground also because you have the US dollar declining in value because of what is happening in the US with all of that. So I think those are, and then there's the third element is that they are not spending. If you are managing an economy, you have to pay your bills. They are not paying IPPs, for example. This is why the doomsday is so acute, and they are not paying contractors. So when you are not spending, there's less pressure on your currency. So those are some of the reasons why you are seeing an appreciation of the currency.
It was for Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia, the economist who turned a digitalist. And you could see Sema where they are to Jana which said the NDC for Bushire. Just much or monasi and ya jeffinchim say, Womo and etimiama yehu de yehui. Amen, nay, a man for boasty was social media so to forcing Mubana Basono, and yet the doing of the NDC, but rather it is the doing of the MPP. And Chris,
yeah, I ain't be the doing of the Lord. Okay, so it's true. I mean, there are external factors. It can affect the Cedi to appreciate.
Okay.
Interest. It is this government and IABB.
Okay.
I'm a Cedi no I appreciate it. Utie Dr. Bawumia Semna or Kana say they fell on their reserves.
Okay.
Yes, they fell on their reserves or Mujaya before they left power. Then there is another point that he talked about. I mean, that is the one that we really have to take a look at. Say, this current government is not spending. They are not spending. They are not paying. He mentioned that they are not paying IPPs.
Okay.
That is why we have some level of doom sources here, you know. And then he's not paying contractors. There's a platform, invoice processing platform, where all the contractors, they process their invoices through that. And if all your documents are okay, then you are paid. All those who have processed their invoices, Dr. Bawumia is saying that the NPP is not spending on them. They are not paying them. The NDC is not paying them. That is one reason why the Cedi is appreciating, because when you are not spending too much, there is no pressure on your currency.
Okay.
Yes. The moment you begin to spend, the moment you begin to use your Cedi to buy the dollar, I mean, that is when you realize that there's pressure on the Cedi, which will make it depreciate.
Okay.
Yes. And your say, I mean, these are external factors.
Wow.
Generally or economically, I mean, globally, the dollar is declining.
Okay.
I mentioned said that the Zambian kwacha too is even rubbing shoulders with the dollar.
Okay.
Yes. And there can be external factors other than what a government will do, and a bit yes, our country currency appreciate.
Okay.
Just like it is happening in Ghana. Bawumia thinks external factors. Then MPP NDC for or more policy be no be implementing Cedi no appreciate it.
Okay, so that is the explanation to Nsema, the former Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Diabetum Montenso. But the question people are asking is that statement na Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Mai said not a single policy and a NDC for bitimi actually say ni aye and a dollar no it's me I appreciate you say depreciate amasi this na appreciate it. But let's ask that, is he indirectly trying to tell us the Cedi is going to depreciate again? Because if they are not spending and they start spending, if they are not paying and they start paying, not just a Cedi never say
so yes, it's a factor that can make the Cedi depreciate. Okay. The moment as a government you start spending, you see, when MPP came to power, it's just the opposite of the NDC. Okay. But the first 4 years of President Nana Addo, I'm sure Ghanaians were like, oh, we did the ratio in even if there is some because Anchebia na Cedi started a depreciating. Okay. Because it was around 3.7 something, almost 4-5 cedis to the dollar. But Omufri Abemuno, it was almost 16 cedis. Sure. And as at that time, you could see, I mean, the size of the government. I mean, you pay a lot, and also the road constructions and I mean, yes, the school free SHS2 became a factor. So you could realize that the government was spending a lot, which was putting so much pressure on the Cedi. But say, for NDC to fall on the MPP's reserve or Mujaye and San Omokono, and the fact that Dr. Bawumia is saying said they are not spending. I mean, yes, it will Ebema Cedi appreciate it. God being so good said the dollar itself is declining.
Okay.
But yes, once the government starts to, spend, we use a lot of CDs, or we use the CDs to go and buy the dollar because now we are spending. There are people, we need to pay them in dollars. There are some imports that the government has to do in dollars. They have to pay IPPs, the independent power producers. They have to pay contractors and all that. Yes, it will create some kind of pressure on the Cedi, Ebema Cedi, as I depreciate it.
Okay, so Ebusia, that is all about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Nensema wakwa kan ne ebinu mo chese ebetimi krenya nsunsanso ewo no so ewo 2028. But we still live to see Munkoso a Penax TV ebema more updates on trending issues.
You are listening to the PNX Report.
PNX Report. PNX Report.
The PNX Report.
PNX Report.
PNX Report.
Live only on PNX TV.